You're listening to LeadAI.dev, your daily updates on AI development. Today's topic is GitHub Copilot CLI tutorial, complete setup guide for developers. Here's a quick overview. GitHub's comprehensive Copilot CLI tutorial transforms command line productivity with AI-powered suggestions, natural language queries, and automated workflow generation. Now, let's ask our analyst about these developments. What's new? GitHub Copilot CLI beginner tutorial launch.
GitHub has released an official beginner-focused tutorial for GitHub Copilot CLI, marking a significant step in making AI-powered command line assistance accessible to developers at all skill levels. The comprehensive guide addresses the steep learning curve that has prevented many developers from adopting CLI automation tools. This tutorial covers installation procedures, basic command structures, and integration workflows that transform terminal interactions from manual typing to natural language conversations with AI assistants. The tutorial introduces three core CLI commands that form the foundation of Copilot CLI functionality. The Copilot Suggest command generates shell commands from natural language descriptions, while Copilot Explain provides detailed breakdowns of complex command structures. The Copilot Alias command creates custom shortcuts for frequently used operations. Each command includes syntax examples, parameter options, and error handling procedures. The guide demonstrates real-world scenarios including file manipulation, Git operations, system administration tasks, and development workflow automation. Previous GitHub Copilot CLI documentation focused primarily on advanced users and enterprise implementations, leaving beginners without clear entry points. This new tutorial fills that gap by providing context-aware examples, common use case scenarios, and troubleshooting guides. The step-by-step approach reduces the typical 2 to 3 hour learning curve to approximately 30 minutes for basic proficiency. GitHub's internal metrics show that developers who complete this tutorial demonstrate 40% higher CLI adoption rates compared to those using previous documentation formats. Three primary CLI commands: suggest, explain, and alias with comprehensive syntax documentation, natural language to shell command translation with context-aware suggestions, integration with existing GitHub CLI workflows, and authentication systems, cross-platform compatibility for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux environments, offline command caching for improved performance in low connectivity situations.
Thank you for that analysis. Let's move on. Who benefits from GitHub Copilot CLI tutorial?
Junior developers and coding bootcamp graduates represent the primary beneficiaries of this GitHub Copilot CLI tutorial. These users typically struggle with command line syntax memorization and complex parameter combinations required for modern development workflows. The tutorial's natural language approach eliminates the need to memorize hundreds of command variations, allowing focus on problem solving rather than syntax recall. Teams with mixed skill levels particularly benefit as senior developers can delegate terminal tasks to junior members without extensive training overhead. DevOps engineers and system administrators working across multiple environments find significant value in the CLI's ability to translate operational requirements into executable commands. The tutorial covers infrastructure management scenarios, deployment automation, and monitoring tasks that traditionally require extensive documentation and tribal knowledge. Remote teams benefit from standardized command generation that reduces miscommunication and environment-specific errors. Data scientists and analysts who primarily work in GUI environments can leverage the CLI for file processing and data pipeline tasks without deep terminal expertise. Experienced developers should approach this tutorial selectively, focusing on advanced integration patterns rather than basic command syntax. Teams already using comprehensive CLI automation tools like Ansible or Terraform may find limited immediate value in basic Copilot CLI features. Organizations with strict security policies around AI code generation should evaluate compliance requirements before implementation, as the CLI sends command context to GitHub servers for processing. Junior developers reducing command memorization overhead by 80%, DevOps teams standardizing cross-environment operations and reducing errors, remote teams eliminating command syntax miscommunication issues, data professionals accessing terminal functionality without extensive CLI training.
Great insight, really helpful context. How to get started. Step-by-step GitHub Copilot CLI setup.
Prerequisites for GitHub Copilot CLI include an active GitHub account with Copilot subscription, GitHub CLI version 2.29, 0 or higher, and terminal access with internet connectivity. Verify existing GitHub CLI installation using zero version and update if necessary through package managers or direct download. Ensure GitHub authentication is configured by running auth status and complete login procedures if required. The installation process requires approximately 50 MB of disk space and takes 2 to 3 minutes on standard broadband connections. Install the Copilot CLI extension by executing extension install github/copilot in your terminal. The installation process downloads the extension binary and configures integration with existing GitHub CLI workflows. Verify successful installation using copilot.version, which should display version information and available commands. Configure default settings by running Joe Copilot config and selecting preferred interaction modes, output formats, and safety settings. Enable shell integration for enhanced context awareness by adding the provided configuration lines to your shell profile. Bashuk. Shasher S. Hair C E E E E equivalent. Test basic functionality by executing Copilot suggests list all files modified in the last 7 days to generate appropriate find or else commands for your operating system. Validate the explain feature using Copilot explain tar cff backup.tar.g z telsclude node modules to receive detailed parameter breakdowns. Create your first alias using Copilot alias and follow prompts to establish shortcuts for frequently used operations. Successful setup confirmation includes receiving contextually appropriate command suggestions and detailed explanations for complex syntax. GitHub CLI 2.29. 0+ installation with authenticated GitHub account access extension installation via extension install GitHub/Copilot command, shell integration configuration for enhanced context awareness and history access functionality testing with suggest, explain, and alias commands, custom alias creation for team-specific workflow optimization, network connectivity verification for AI suggestion processing.
That's a very interesting point. Tell us about competitive context. How GitHub Copilot CLI changes terminal AI.
GitHub Copilot CLI differentiates itself from existing terminal AI tools like Warp AI and Fig through deep integration with GitHub's ecosystem and comprehensive natural language processing capabilities. While Warp AI focuses on command completion and terminal enhancement, Copilot CLI provides bidirectional translation between natural language and shell commands with context from repository history and development patterns. Fig offers similar autocomplete functionality, but lacks the explain feature that breaks down complex commands into understandable components. Copilot CLI's advantage lies in its ability to understand project context and generate commands that align with existing development workflows. The integration with GitHub's existing developer tools creates significant workflow advantages over standalone terminal AI solutions. Copilot CLI automatically understands repository structure, branch names, and commit history when generating suggestions, while competitors require manual context input. The explain feature provides educational value that transforms CLI usage from rote memorization to understanding, addressing a key limitation in tools like OhmyZeesh plugins or PowerShell modules that focus purely on efficiency rather than learning. Cross-platform consistency ensures identical behavior across development environments, unlike platform-specific solutions. Limitations include dependency on internet connectivity for AI processing, which affects performance in offline environments where tools like Zeesh autosuggestions or fish shell completions continue functioning. The natural language processing introduces latency compared to local autocomplete solutions, with typical response times of 1 to 2 seconds versus millisecond local completions. Privacy-conscious teams may prefer local-only solutions over cloud-based AI processing. Command accuracy depends on clear natural language input, which can be challenging for users accustomed to direct terminal interaction patterns. Deep GitHub ecosystem integration vs. Standalone terminal enhancement tools, bidirectional natural language processing with educational explain features, cross-platform consistency, and repository context awareness, internet dependency, and latency trade-offs compared to local solutions.
Good analysis. Let's continue. What's next? GitHub Copilot CLI future development?
GitHub's roadmap for Copilot CLI includes enhanced context awareness through integration with IDE activities, pull request history, and issue tracking systems. Planned features include multi-step command generation for complex workflows, automated script creation from natural language descriptions, and integration with GitHub Actions for CI/CD pipeline management. The development team is working on offline capability through local model deployment for basic command suggestions, addressing connectivity limitations in restricted environments. Advanced alias management with team sharing capabilities will enable organization-wide command standardization. Integration ecosystem expansion focuses on popular development tools including Docker, Kubernetes, AWS CLI, and database management systems. GitHub is developing specialized command sets for different technology stacks, allowing context aware suggestions based on detected project technologies. The explain feature will expand to include security implications, performance considerations, and alternative command approaches. PI access for third party integrations will enable custom implementations in IDE extensions, CI/CD tools, and development environment managers. The tutorial represents GitHub's broader strategy to democratize AI powered development tools across skill levels and use cases. Success metrics from this beginner focused approach will inform similar educational initiatives for other GitHub Copilot features. The emphasis on step by step learning suggests future tutorials for advanced CLI usage, custom extension development, and enterprise deployment scenarios. This educational investment positions GitHub to capture market share in the growing terminal AI automation space while building developer loyalty through comprehensive support resources. Enhance context integration with IDE activities and project management tools offline functionality through local model deployment for basic operations, expanded technology stack integration for specialized development environments, API access, enabling third-party tool integration and custom implementations.
Great analysis. So, what are the key takeaways from all of this?
Install GitHub Copilot CLI using the extension install GitHub/Copilot after verifying GitHub CLI 2.29, 0 plus and active Copilot subscription. Master 3 core commands. Copilot suggest for natural language to shell translation. Go. Copilot explain for command breakdown. And Copilot alias for custom shortcuts. Configure shell integration by adding provided configuration lines to shell profile for enhanced context awareness and command history access. Test functionality with project-specific scenarios to verify proper installation and optimize suggestion accuracy for your development environment.
And what market signals should our listeners watch for?
Terminal AI mainstream adoption. GitHub's beginner-focused CLI tutorial signals the maturation of terminal AI from niche developer tools to mainstream productivity solutions. The emphasis on educational content rather than feature announcements indicates market readiness for broader adoption beyond early adopters. This approach validates the terminal AI category while establishing GitHub's position as the educational leader. The timing coincides with increased enterprise interest in AI-powered development tools, suggesting significant market expansion potential. Natural language interface standardization. The tutorial's focus on natural language command generation represents a shift towards standardized human-computer interaction patterns in development environments. This approach reduces the technical barrier for CLI adoption while maintaining power user functionality. The bidirectional translation capability natural language to commands and command explanation establishes new expectations for terminal interface design. Competitors will likely adopt similar natural language processing approaches to remain competitive. Developer education as competitive advantage. GitHub's investment in comprehensive tutorial content demonstrates the strategic value of developer education in AI tool adoption. The step-by-step approach addresses the primary barrier to CLI tool adoption: learning curve complexity. This educational strategy creates switching costs as developers become proficient with GitHub-specific workflows. The tutorial quality suggests significant resource allocation toward developer success, indicating long-term commitment to the CLI product category.
What should developers and operators do with this information?
Implement GitHub Copilot CLI for teams with mixed CLI experience levels within 2 weeks to standardize command generation and reduce onboarding time. Establish team-wide aliases for common development workflows within 1 month of CLI adoption to ensure consistent operations across projects. Integrate CLI tutorial completion into developer onboarding processes for teams hiring junior developers or bootcamp graduates. Evaluate CLI performance and accuracy metrics after 30 days of usage to determine expansion to additional development teams and use cases.
Thank you for listening to LeadAI.dev. Stay tuned for our next daily updates in this rapidly emerging market.